morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Moon Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League. We are into the finals, race number 2. We're out on the Glasgow Crit course today, and we are broadcasting for you the top in the European Cup. I'm Nathan Guerra, Dave Towle next to me. We got the best of the best out here. Dave, I'm currently actually looking through, looks like it's going to be absolutely insane. We've got 10 laps in front of us, non-stop sprints. We've got a replay coming at you as the boys are out on course already. Next esports, we've got RWB, we've got Mutant, we've got ESRT out here. Hexagon is out here. I mean, the list goes on. Next, I mean, this Beta is out here as well for Coalition. I absolutely love it that this finals is bringing all of the best teams together. It's something that we miss in the regular season, and we get to see it here now in the finals.
Just hearing you gets me stoked up, Nathan. This is going to be a Donnybrook. I mean, I think that when you look at it, you're right. It's the all-stars on what is a next-level course out here in Glasgow today as well. It's 10 laps, it's 30K, but this is going to be a Donnybrook. I mean, even Payne City has to bow down to what this is going to be about. If for folks who've never joined us before, well, buckle up. It's frenetic out here. The point scoring is the name of the game. The teams combine together to create that tally of points. So at the end of the day, it's the team with the most points. Those points are going to be gained through fastest through segments and first across the line. So that's your standard sprints. Nathan, it's going to be crazy out here. And you name some of the biggest talent that we've seen in esports racing here. I mean, very similar to the Zwift Grand Prix that we enjoyed on Friday. So here we go. They're going to be hitting. Actually, they already have hit out. They're on course now. So we're going to try to keep you up to date with the points as they score as well. Big thank you to Martin at WTRL. That's the World Tactical Racing League. And there you go, picking up the peloton. That's one of the new big stars there, Nathan, the Irishman. He's from Cork County, County Cork. Down there, the very southern part, the second largest city in Ireland, as Mr. Barry, back from World Championships now, rolling in the peloton. Let's talk about the course, though, Nathan.
Richard Barry, I mean, he just actually took down a big sprint. I'm going to really quickly show this, and I'm a little bit impressed, actually, with this move from him early on, because taking down one of the first big sections here, it's not something I would actually, not trying to say anything against Barry, but with the kind of field here, I'm like, where is this coming from? There, you can see him kind of jumping off the front there. I was having a little trouble getting the camera on the right avatar. Plantano trying to take something down here. This is the second sprint on the, actually third sprint on the day before they were actually going on over to their breakaway Bray. But the timing here from Barry, champion sprint there. Next one to come on through was going to be a Rose Beast Mode rider here, but this action, it's going to be nonstop coming at us. Today's racing is definitely going to be painful, Dave. One thing I'm wondering about, though, too, is how the riders are going to tackle this as far as fastest through segments, because I am seeing some riders maybe waiting a lap and jumping onto the pack and then trying to grab maybe a fastest through segment, keeping the legs fresh. Whereas, do you see how frenetic this is? I mean, it is just non-stop. They're going to go downhill now into, they just did another breakaway Bray, so now they're 4 sprints in at this point, because their initial champion sprint, there was breakaway Bray, then there was a champion sprint, now it's breakaway Bray, not breakaway Bray, I'm making a mistake there, I've been saying the wrong sprint. Clyde Kicker, I'm so used to the breakaway Bray out on this Scotland World, the Clyde Kicker. Clyde Kicker, they're going to see that over and over again here, Dave, within a 2-minute period, though. Did you see the first lap? They did it in 4 minutes. With 2 sprints, you're essentially doing a full gas effort followed by a maybe 1.5 minute quote unquote rest, but people are attacking. Dave, this is absolute insanity when it comes to a crit course.
Well, and Nathan, we've talked about the fact that downhills are the new uphill as far as attacking goes. And what's crazy is the level has gotten so high. And look at this now. So there's so many stars that when you see a new name, as you mentioned with Richard Barry, the Irishman, I mean, he certainly has to be our late season breakthrough rider, no question. But there's some like Jeffrey Miller here, one of the French riders on Hexagon. But how about this attack going right now? This is going to be
this is away.
I
think he's away. I think he did it, Dave. He caught everybody out. This is crazy. Sunderland goes early. Are they all thinking about FTS? Because what a move here. RWB is getting lapped, actually. So Teppo now trying to come through for FAL. He's going to take that FAL for second here, but I don't know about fastest through segment on that. But, Dave, this sets up some crazy tactics because of how quickly these sprints come at each and every lap. The shortness of time between. Eventually, the pack has to sit up. Even the pack itself can't just continually have that kind of effort going out from it. And you can set up so well to try and make these breakaways over and over again, it looks to me.
So there's FTS, fastest through segment, and FAL. They're decidedly different things, but they're the two different ways that you can score points. Let's look at this attack because it's going clear now, Nathan, and this is going to be it. I mean, it's so active out here. But typically you see those fastest through segment points, and that's a designated segment where your time is taken. It can update through the race, but we're going to go in now. This is going to be Ben Russell of Wahoo Lacole that we're with. It is so hard to open up any kind of a gap. You can see the watts per kilo that he's making is touching on 7.3 right now. Peloton backing off. So, and that's what it takes just to get a couple of seconds in the bank here. So, yeah, making a withdrawal at the pain bank is not advised at this point, as that group is going to start surging. So, Nathan, two different ways to score points. The third final way is in the finale. At the end of the race, there's a lion's share of points waiting. But here we go. Clyde kicker now in full effect. And now the charge, cover and kill, as we take a look at it over the top.
Christoph Thiem now trying to make a move. He's got the feather power up. Looks like, will he be able to hold on to this distance he's creating for himself? Mikael Planthero now coming across, and I think this is the course that Planthero likes. The suffering over and over again. The sharp uphill kick. Will Planthero be able to catch? Wow. No. Thiem takes down it, and it's going to be Nicky Hug in for third. We'll get an update on points as quickly as we possibly can here, but that's going to be the 1, 2, 3 across the line. Man, these tactics, Dave, the trying to hold on there from Ben Russell, it's a good move by him, but I'm not sure that he's the kind of rider that necessarily enjoys the sharp kicks. I think he was waiting for everybody to kind of take a little bit of a deep breath and like, okay, get a little bit of a hold up here. And then, because he's got a massive engine, but maybe not necessarily a sharp kick. And so he was trying to use his advantage, what he could find out on course. It didn't quite work out because Planthero as well as Thiem, they wanted those points. They went, and they've got the kicks, obviously, to try and get them, and made a move.
Right now, it's just hammer and tongs as they wail away on the front of this race. It's amazing how much depth there is, to tell you the truth, Nathan. Guys are able to hang in here with the average watts per kilo are going to be off the charts. That's the only place. Now, some
what's
dropouts.
Happened here?
Yeah, you know,
L'Oreal.
Teppo had been riding, I thought I heard 100 miles or 100 kilometers a day.
Yeah, 100 a day. Yeah,
exactly
right.
So he's probably worn out his trainer. I don't know, but we're back to the racing now. That's unfortunate for Wahoo Lacole. They're really going to miss those points from Teppo. As Nathan, we're kind of back with the peloton here right now. So this is the big group.
There's just so many people all over the course. It's hard to even find where they're at, to be honest. Like, what was going on there is I'm trying to find where the front of the pack is, and there's so much damage on course that there's just bodies everywhere. That's why I'm finding so many people all over the course actually here, as Lemp is going to get the jump on the pack here. It looks like the pack has calmed down. They're thinking maybe a little bit about FTS, but they're letting a lot of these go, interesting enough. So it tells me that the Clyde kicker is really rough on the legs.
FTS is typically going to come by surfing that group. You have to sag it. You start at the back and work your way through using the advantage of the draft and the physics to try to get that fastest time. But all of these riders know this. It's a tried and true technique. As we're taking a look at the price that you pay after a huge effort, as this group never backs up. You can see it stays in this long, thin line, Nathan. It's interesting when you look at it. That again, it is going to be a crazy day out here. There is no doubt about it. This group whittles down, but it's still massive at this point. We're a third of the way into the race, and I know that always that crunch that happens on with the data right now. We certainly will be trying to get you the points because they would have scored already. One thing that's noteworthy is those FTS points can update, not the FAL points. So that's probably enough talking about the points for you out there, as we'll certainly try to get you that info as we can. But back to the group now, everything all together. I would say, though, Nathan, this has been a rough ride up to this point.
Definitely has been, as we make our way, as we are making our way on over to the Clyde kicker here. We can see the current team league standings We'll take a look at that in just a moment here, but it is going to be another move here. Christopher, it looks like Dawson on the move. I think he is going by Dawson, just as a heads up there, but it is going to be Christoph Thiem. This man is just racking up the points for Rose Beast Mode nonstop, and he's getting these massive gaps, actually. This seems to be his wheelhouse when it comes to this course here. Dawson now with the punch up and over the top. It is going to be Zach Neer from Next, presented by Insured. They are actually missing a big name out there today. And Dave,
congratulations, right?
A big congratulations goes out to Barney, as he had just got married yesterday. So congratulations to him, and taking a little bit of a honeymoon from the racing. That's awesome to hear, and great. But they are going to be missing him, I think, out on course here as far as racking up some points.
It's the best excuse in the history of esports for a reason to miss a race, and I hope he's not watching either, to tell you the truth. James Barnes knows how much we love him. So there's no doubt he's one of the most popular riders that the sport has ever seen. He's in my Hall of Fame. So congratulations to the Barnes family now, and we'll see you soon enough, Barney. Have a great honeymoon. So back to the racing now. This is going to be really his arch nemesis, Ben Russell, here for Wahoo Lacole. Very, very active today as he stirs the pot a little bit right now. Nathan, unfortunately, they did lose Teppo Lorio, the very popular Finnish rider. So they're going to try to make up for that. These are the points that you're looking at. That's how our league points are distributed. You do see the FAL and the FTS. That was based upon, it looks like to me, Nathan, that was race one of the 3 race finals that we have right now. This is the second of 3 races. So Nathan, that must have been how we scored everyone after the first week of racing. That was last Tuesday, the 7th of March.
Yep. Team league standings there. That's where things stand as we come in. Hexagon lead, Wahoo Lacole, followed up by Next Percent Short, Toyota Cryo and then Beast Mode sitting in 5th place. Alpha Racing there on the challenge. Far up is going to get the better of Russell. Russell able to make a solid move here. His teammate Davey's going to come over the top, so they're going to go 2-3 here through that move that they just made. Right behind it is going to be Zach Neer from Next, presented by Insured, coming through the champion sprint now. As far up here off the front, just a little bit for that Fusion team, I believe, is who we're looking at here. Callus Esports. It's going to be now coming over the top? Is that going to be another WLC rider? It's going to be Paul here, actually. Yep, from the WLC team. Is he going to be able to make a move and get away here is going to be the question. Continually with the first 5 laps or so down, I believe, is where we're at. And Dave, eventually they may let something go. They may sit up just enough. That's going to be the big question, I think, here for a lot of the riders.
Yeah, Nathan, for me, it's so hard to imagine that with such a competitive group. And part of the reason why my mindset is that way is that their talent is spread across 8 teams here. And that's being conservative, actually. There's so many teams that'll try to keep themselves involved out here, and that makes it so hard to attack. We're again, out on a course that these riders will have learned. The learning curve is steep with these athletes, that's for sure. These are the gladiators of esports, no doubt. And like you mentioned, Zach Nair, these are some of the biggest minds in esport as well, as we take a look at the group as they hit Clyde Kicker again. And this is the nature of the day. If this might as well be the Interval World Championships being held in downtown Paint City. Christoph Thiem is on fire and fuego out here today. I mean, the German, and Nathan, he's been in the points as far as, I think he's got 2 firsts and a second as far as points out here today. There's the Swiss man, the powerhouse, Nicky Hug, coming through as well. So Nicky on the next team there. They're one of the top squads in esports of all time. You can see Wahoo Lacole represented as well. So Nathan, some new names up in the mix right now, but some familiar hits as well there with Nicky Hug coming through. And obviously Christoph Thiem has been one of the top riders that we've been witnessing over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, and as we do see, we're starting to get some familiar names each and every lap. We're starting to see the strength of certain riders when it comes to that Clyde Kicker. It seems to me that there's a few out here who do stand out above the rest for those FAL points. The FTS, I believe, have sailed at this point. We'll see if we can get an update on where those stand as we are waiting for those. But, Dave, I think we're seeing Christoph Thiem each and every lap able to take down that Clyde Kicker, and I think he's really invested in that sprint specifically. It seems to me there's not going to be that opportunity for somebody to just be able to grab both the championship sprint as well as the Clyde kicker every single lap. It's just too close, perhaps. If you could do that, I mean, you're not just one step above. You're 5 podiums above everybody here. So I have a feeling he's waiting each lap for that moment. Toyota Priority T, now they're going to move off the front. Who is that going to be? That was a massive kick, actually, from one of the Toyota riders.
So I wouldn't be too surprised if Depilorio actually has the fastest through segment time and it's still standing. You don't have to finish the race to get the points, or do you? Actually,
you do have to finish the race, but he might just be rolling. That may be what's going on here.
So if you have a dropout, you can fix the problem even if you're 2 or 3, 4 laps down, as long as you continue to make an effort to race. I'm guessing. I hope. That seems like, but that being the case, that faster through segment typically does go very early in the race, even though there's a chance that it could be bettered. It's not too likely, just because of the amount of gas in the tank that the athletes have when they're going for that. So, and the number of athletes in the mix and the average speed of the group heading into the segment, all of those things. Back to a ragged looking group right now, Nathan, as ESRT, and this is Blomqvist here trying to cover a move that's gone up the road. I think that is going to be covered pretty handily here.
Most of these riders, I think, are actually lapped riders. So the apologies to everybody, but it's such a short course that there are riders being lapped very, very quickly, actually. My list currently, like usually I have like a rider nearby list that's separate from the one that's in game here. It currently has half of the population of that list is riders who have been dropped and are going to be lapped. And so, like, I am looking through this massive list down to, like, halfway through the list to find the number one rider out there to get to first place, essentially, at this point. That's how much damage has been done to this peloton, how difficult this course is.
You don't see this at this level, to tell you the truth. Exceptionally different than the normal. Here we go. That looks like another attack here. That's going to be Hexagon and Wahoo Lacole just going body blow. Christopher Dawson out of Northern Ireland is the rider here. Another one of the accomplished riders. If he can't hold on, no one can, because that's Michael Plantero, the French Express. And look at the TGV. Oh, man, the Grand Vitesse of this man.
Close.
Exceptional.
Almost, David was right there, but Dawson just held on to it to me. It looked like to me. I think Dawson,
as I said, if he can't do it, no one can. Yeah, he lived up to it. That's a bold move there. So, again, those will be for, we assume, the first across the line, the FAL points out there. You never know. They were flying. That could have been FTS, but those points will be put in the bank now. The FAL points, those are, once they're there, they're there. You can lock them down. And we're taking a look now at the potential of a counterattack that comes after those devastating moments out here. You're going to see some riders pretty exposed. I mean, imagine if you're Christopher Dawson's legs. He's just going to look to sag back through this group now, and you can see him just, staying in the draft, just trying to recover. That's a big part of this, Nathan, is the instant recovery that's required by these athletes. You make these huge efforts, but if you can't get back on top of a gear quickly, you'll get dropped. And we've seen it many times, get dropped out of this group. This racing is more intense. It's absolutely at a different level than anything you see outside.
Trzynski now making his way forward, setting up for the championship sprint on that downhill. The speeds get really high right on through here, but now we have seen the kicks through this section survive, actually. Last couple of laps, there have been these very early attacks, and there goes, it looks like it's going to be Bankston. Now, actually, no, off the front, far up. Now, with the arrow power up, making a solid move here. Becker now trying to get involved, but it's going to be far up with a little bit of a gap. The arrow power up really helping him, but Becker here looking to come across. Theme, I think, is setting up for this one a little bit differently. He did not get involved in the Clyde kicker. I think he wants the championship sprint this time around. 11 watts per kilogram, getting into the sprint section now. Is he going to make a final kick? It's going to be Davies now on his wheel. Farb's going to last, it looks like, right to the line. Farb's holding on. Beast mode, where they going to come through for second. It's going to be all about the timing theme. For second, it looks like Davies, now Becker, and then it's going to be Paul in for fourth. Plantero coming through for fifth. As the roll through of some of the speed from the pack comes on through, will there be a counter?
Well, and you can see exactly how Davies there moving himself into a recovery mode immediately there. That's the respect these riders have for exactly what you're talking about, and that counter is coming. It looks like Hexagon, that's the team in the, I don't know if you call it royal blue, but not quite purple either, but that is a team that has been noteworthy, exceptional over the last couple of seasons. It's not just Michael Plantero, but you do see Michael Plantero is up there in the mix here. You know it's going to be crazy when you've got a rider named number 3, Riza Honey Badger. That just sounds intimidating. It's obscure and dangerous sounding all in one name.
Dave, okay, just from like a production standpoint, just to be honest here, like this is insane. I mean, this is
hard.
essentially.
I get it.
No, like it's fine. I don't actually mind. I kind of like it because it's kind of keeping me on my toes and everything. To kind of where is this going at? It's almost like playing an FPS video game right now to try and hold on to where the heck is the front of this race and make sure that we continually see the front of the race. But to think about it, everybody that's watching, we don't even have time to look at a replay. Like, I've got all these replays sitting here, and this is coming at the riders so fast and furious right now that Dawson goes again, 11 watts per kilogram. This is like a crazy cyclocross race, but without any of the downtime. It's just nonstop. Go, 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 come at you. And, I mean, imagine the fitness that these riders have to have in order to take on this course, and they're just throwing it all out there.
I personally can't, Nathan, imagine that. I mean, you can, but I can't. This is absolutely bananas. Mental chicken oriental as Chris Dawson picks up another 10 points. So he's been highly effective out here, the Northern Irishman on the Wahoo Lacole team. So I apologize that we don't have the ability to update the points for you, but clearly, I would say beast mode, Wahoo Lacole, and I don't know, Nathan, who's the third team? In your mind, would you have to guess as Ben Russell has hit out with authority again? You're absolutely right, though. You can't take your eye off the prize for a second. I mean, by the time I ask you a question, we're already into the next sprint. But Nathan, what other team has impressed you as we're 2/3 of the way into this 30-kilometer, 18-mile race?
Yeah, Russell here now, 7 watts per kilogram out the front. That's a solid little move from him. We said it time and again, he may not have the kick to go with those sprinters, but this counterattack with the aero power up at 8.7. Now he's getting to a super tuck really early here, 60 kilometers per hour, making a quick little comparison here. They're not getting into that 60K even close to as quickly. He does have more speed. The question is the roll-through speed that they're going to have after that downhill. That's going to be the big thing for this pack if they're going to be able to counter here. But Russell, I think he's fairly all in at this point in order to grab these points. He's 4 seconds up and the pack is resting. I think he's done it here. And this is the other thing, Dave. If he continues on and there's not a huge interest to chase him down after this next sprint, it's going to be all about whether or not this next sprint is going to bring back enough time where he no longer has a gap. I think it will, but if it doesn't, he does have an option at that point to carry on.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting because it's pretty rare that we see someone break the group's will to chase, right? But they're looking at bird in the hand, bird in the bush kind of scenario here where the effort made to go get him will probably cost you more than it's worth right now. Sometimes you just have to cut bait and let it go. And I think not to call Ben Russell bait because he's an exceptional talent making a mark, but look at the ride out here from Christophers. He looks like he just came in behind Zach Nair at that last sprint, Nathan. It was close, though.
It was, but I think Nair was able to hold on to that second place. Now it looks like Russell, now the sprint on that Champions is just too fast. Russell does hold on for a solid FAL. Great on him to be able to make an awesome addition to the WLC points tally because I think he had been struggling just a little bit to do something with his talents out there today. What a move by him. The timing there with that aero power up to make sure that his talents still shine on a course that tends to be all about the punchers.
Yeah, that's a really good point. He cracked the code, Nathan, on how he can be of value to his team, and that's 100% the name of the game out here is trying to collect those points and add them to that team tally. And you can see that that's just a really, really good example. I see now, Nathan, as this group now looks to be setting up, I get a feeling there's going to be an explosion coming. And there you go. Speaking of that, Colleen. Now, Colleen might be a lap down.
I believe he is. I believe Clean is a lap down, but hanging with the front end here, which is according to once you can rejoin, I believe. Excuse me though, but I did miss a sprint just now because everything is all over the where is everyone? I'm sorry, but
I hear you.
We for a moment here lost the front end of the race because it's going absolutely bananas here. But it looks like we have rejoined everybody, giving it a go here just to hang on. That's all the way back in 40th place that we just saw there. Nikki Hug coming through for third. It is going to be Plantero grabbing those just ahead of Dawson here. Apologies on that.
Okay.
But did you? Do you see the efforts the riders are holding? I just want to highlight that because for a moment there, we did see 40th place. It was full on, full gas, 11 to 12 watts per kilogram to hold on to 40th place there for a moment.
And then you get to do this. Right, here we go. Another one of the mega talents that we've got, the Harvard Gelness up near the front, as this is now heavy hitters only need apply. At this moment, I'm amazed that the peloton has got this many riders still, that you can even call it a peloton, to tell you the truth, as we hit the kicker again. And another attack goes clear.
It looks like a little bit of a bump here, as it's going to be Alpha now. I think just hanging out here as they're going to take this right-hand turn into the flatter sections of the course. This is the main section where the riders do get a little bit of a rest, the champion sprint. Immediately following that, it's a little bit shorter section, of course, immediately following that champion sprint, right on into the Clyde kicker. This section of the course is really the only one where you get any kind of a rest. Now, Polly here making another move. He did this a couple laps ago. It worked out well for him. Nobody going to respond. Near just sits in at the front, and I think this one is going to get away. Beast mode, though, on the attack. Dawson here now making a move as well. This is interesting. There's a lot more response than we've ever seen before, I think, from the pack at this moment. A lot of riders making moves. Interesting enough, and this may be because of how late in the race that we are getting at this point, Dave. We're going to start thinking about the final coming up here because I think it's going to be two to go at this point.
Right, there you go. Exactly, Nathan. Each lap at 3K each. Now, these are going to be lapped riders with Polly here. That's going to be the front of the race. That should be good for the FAL points.
Ooh,
I cannot believe
Christoph Blomqvist. I think Blomqvist just grabbed it from Theme there. Just barely grabbing it from Theme. But is that two to go? Two to go, right? With 3K on each lap?
Correct.
So we should
that
be about
two to go. And yeah, and but Christoph, Nathan, has scored at just about, he certainly would have the most FAL points in my mind of any rider out here today. Talking about Christoph Team.
Try and get you an update as quickly as we possibly can. I am pushing update over and over again. Again, though, there is a little bit of a lag at this time of day. With Zwift Racing League going on, it tends to be an overload on the data polls here, but we are looking to try and get them on in as quickly as we possibly can.
It is worth noting for viewers that these points are scored, and the teams will have a pretty good idea, Nathan, because they look at it from their perspective and know how many. Because right now, a lot of points would have been distributed. The thing that might be challenging for them to score at home would be FTS, right? Or would they know?
No, it'll be very challenging. It is pretty hard. But a lot of times, a lot of these riders will have as far as our boards go and pulling them, it's a little bit different from the way that the riders can just look live at Zwift Power. There is a Preems section over on Zwift Power at the bottom of the event. If you click the tabs, there is a little section that you can get an idea of where things stand. You'll be able to see what Preems are grabbed for FTS NFL over on ZwiftPower.com, actually at the bottom of the event. So if you go ahead and check that out when you're racing live, if you even have time to, in this race, I'm not sure anybody's clicking anything. With the way that this one is going, you need a little bit of a downtime to be able to make that happen. Near now going for the second to lap Clyde clicker. I think he just grabbed it actually as they come through some lapped riders.
Yeah, actually a lot of traffic. That there was like a NASCAR race going on out there as they caught that group of what looked like about a dozen riders, then a few more riders in front of them. But this is the vanguard or the very front of the race. And Nathan, I would score that again as Zach Neer picking up those points. That's the next insured rider that we've got there. There's 3 different teams using somewhat. There's a lot of talk about the green jersey at Paris-Nice. It's a cooler color, but doesn't stand out as much. Well, this is a pretty good example of all the different shades of green that you can see in the peloton as we take a look at the front group now. Be interesting to see how many of those riders that got lapped are able to hold on now at the pace that has been set out here, which has been absolutely ballistic today. Well, we're going to be coming up on the final lap pretty quickly here. Not that many more points left or out there on the table. These guys are going to be trying to gobble them up. These events typically can come down to even 1 point, Nathan, with the score 112 to 110 kind of thing is not unheard of on a day like today.
100%, and I think that is what we are going to see. We have seen a lot more walkaways in the regular season, didn't we, Dave? There was a lot more differentiation. Now that the top teams are all coming together into these finals, we are seeing a lot more parity across the entirety of the group. I absolutely love to see it, and it makes for some awesome, extremely competitive racing. The moves are being made up toward the front of this race now. We are in amongst some of the lapped riders here. We're going to see what we can do here. I think Barry's going to help us out to make our way to the front. Bankston here, far up, is now off the front, making his move as he usually does. It's going to be 1 to go at this point. 1 to go as far up now takes his final FAL, and will he do it again, though, on the final lap as well? FAL is going to be routed to Barrett Blanco, so the last kick to the line. It looks like maybe even for a little bit of FTS this late, because that was some crazy 13 watts per kilogram. Is anybody going to try and make a last lap flyer off the front? Is there a counter coming quickly? Kayan perhaps now? No, Kayan's actually a lap down, I think, here. So where is the move perhaps that could come? If it's going to go right now.
Yeah, and it just doesn't seem like there's enough charge on anyone's battery to effectively make that snap and get away out here, Nathan, although they're certainly pushing very, very hard on the front. So this is it. We're down to 1 to go. One final lap of racing. This is going to be interesting now to see how these teams, because there's a lot of points waiting at the finish line. We've talked about the opportunities you've had. Well, the biggest of all is at the finish. So let's see if there's going to be a surge out of the front of this group. This is it. It's all on the line. Race 2 of 3 in our ZRL finals, brought to you by WTRL. Next week is a team time trial. So this is it for these guys, Nathan. The last couple throwdowns here. Time to scrape the bottom of the wattage barrel.
This is absolutely awesome to see. And, you know, Dave, being on this course, a course that a world championship is won on, with the intensity and the level that's in here, to win right now after this many laps, 9.5 laps to go, one more kick right here to set this up perfectly, Dave. You know, it's a big deal to me, actually. I think this is a huge win for anybody that's able to pull this off out here. Dawson does make a move early on here. 10 watts per kilogram, feather power up. Is he going to be able to hold on? Davies on the chase. It looks like Grupp's also at 13 watts per kilogram, trying to close it down. He's 1 lap down, though, but he's going to stay involved, it looks like, to try and grab some points. But Dawson, I think, is going to do it for these final points. So the question is, can he reset and take the win across the line? Big finish line points on the day here, too, for this final kick. Who's going to take it down?
Well, and absolutely, Nathan, this is where, you know, as you say, can he reset and get finish line points? Yeah, possibly, because he's a super athlete, but this is where your teammates step up and how you absolutely don't win this alone. He did his job. He got a lion's share of points there at the penultimate sprint, but now as we bear down on the finish line, let's see what Wahoo Lacole can do. We'll remember that moment there for the Northern Irishman, but again, now Fast and Furious is the name of the game, as it's going to be Jacobs of the coalition team attacking, as they're going to start running out of real estate very, very quickly here in Glasgow. And this is a nice little gap that he's opening up. Always remembering these are lapped riders in between our leader Jacobs and the peloton. Nathan, this is a nifty little move here. Wow.
Can he hold on? 9 watts per kilogram. We've seen him kind of chilling up until this point, not really involved. The Dutchman, 8 watts per kilogram. The pack is sitting at 4 here. Somebody's got to go. There it is, Toyota Guerra. It looks like it's going to be Polly, going to be the first one to move. 10 watts per kilogram coming from him, trying to go across. It's going to be still 2 seconds to Jacobs. Now he's got a drafting power up, interesting enough. That's just in anticipation of somebody coming around him, I believe. Now Jacobs, it was a good move by Coalition, but it's not going to last. It's going to be Toyota Cryo RDT coming through. Polly now with the early move, but it's not going to hold. The pack is going to hunt it down this time. Christoph Thiem, very early attack from the pack. 12 watts per kilogram. These 10 to hold, and Thiem is going to do it. I think he's off the front. He's got the gap, but it looks like Jacobs is trying to come through. Toyota RDT with the drafting power up. Is he going to do it? It's going to be Jacobs is going to do it there across the line. Thiem for second, and I think it was Alexi Kalman for third. What a wind-up, Dave. That was a I mean, I felt like a wound-up top calling it.
That's insane. That really is. I mean, Christoph Thiem, for me, Nathan, is the rider of the day. I'd be stunned if anybody collected more points along the way than Christoph. But I don't know if it was enough for Rose Beast Mode, to tell you the truth. It certainly, though, puts them into that conversation. Great job by Polly today of the Toyota Cryo team. Wow, new names, old names, but one thing's for sure, you got to be a monster to be in the mix. What a way to wrap that one up. So that's a big, big day here. Race 2 of 3 is done and dusted. We got the team time trial, Nathan. That's it before our ZRL finals, brought to you by WTRL, are one for the books here. It's been an incredible season. That race was a really good example of how awesome things have been out here.
Absolutely. We'll be jumping in with the ladies in just a few moments. Let's take a quick look at the replay of how things just played out as Thiem made his, well, excuse me, as actually Joachim's, it was Toyota Cryo DT that was actually the team that was able to time things just perfectly. The move here early on from Jacobs did get caught from Coalition. It was going to be Toyota Car DT coming across there from Poly. He was able to make some early moves for some early points work this way. RWB there also coming across, but Thiem here with the perfectly timed from the pack 12 watts per kilogram. I thought he was going to make it happen. Usually it did work out, but it looks like Joachim's, he had the timing. He saw it, he covered it quickly, and he had the drafting power up for that extra speed, and he was able to hold on across the line. Did Nier grab it? Kalman and Nier
Well,
looked like we're real close.
yeah, I mean, if you go back, the arch is a little hard to see. The arch is black, the finish line truss, as they call it around the world. But again, the back end API will tell us the real story. Even what we see here isn't actually a definitive way. I mean, it looks like Joachim's, though, the Dutch rider. Yeah, well, I'd
Joachim's
be
took
very
that down. I
surprised.
think for
Yeah,
third, I think Kalman just nudged out Nier. I think it looks like just
it
barely.
looks like it. That's a tough angle, too, but definitely by that, you'd say yes, he did.
100%.
The
Well,
Danish rider ahead of the American.
we are
But
looking
all
for
those
points
points will
still
matter.
here. I'm not getting any updates on points. I really apologize to everybody on that. I thought perhaps we would have it all ready to go, but it looks like nothing coming through for us at
I
this
see.
moment. So, all
It
right,
is tough
everybody.
for folks. I understand that. Yeah, it's hard to keep your score with at home without our help there. So we appreciate you hanging in there.
We will be back, and hopefully in the next 5 minutes, we'll be able to get a reset on those. The ladies are going to be jumping out on course pretty quickly here at 15 after. So we'll take a quick little 3-minute break, everybody, or so. We'll come back at you, hopefully have some updates on what went down with all the point structures from that men's race, and we'll get right on into the ladies racing. So we'll see you in about 3 to 5 minutes or so. Just a quick little break here from us. Don't go anybody, because we're about to cover the European Women's Cup. Well, we're back, everybody. We're jumping on into the Zwift Racing League Finals, EMEA East Women's Cup, and we've got some big names out here. We just watched the men take on this Glasgow crit course. It was absolutely frenetic, both from a racer's point of view, the broadcast point of view as well. It was nonstop action. That's for sure. Actually, I don't know if everybody can hear that in the background, if there's also some grunting coming on through, but I've got next to me on the women's cup as well. Gabriella's currently racing as well, full gas, and literally every 2 minutes, I just see a full-on everything you have sprint to the line, and things are absolutely broken apart. Looks like a lead group in that race of about 10 or 12 that are broken away. I have a feeling we're about to see something similar in this other side of the Women's Cup, actually. We've got Aria Velharin, Vicky Whitelaw jumping in on here, Louise Gamps, Charlotte Kolkloff, Kent is here, Svardstrom, big names, Electric Spirit Co., Toyota Priority T, it looks like, as well as Aonian and WLC all showing up today. So the who's who of bike racing when it comes to Zwift racing is in this women's field.
Yeah, and a course that does not suit the weak of heart, Nathan. That's for sure. As you noted with Gabby racing there, this is exceptionally hard racing. I was amazed in the race we just covered how many riders made it into that front group to be contesting in the finale. Actually, with the severity of the efforts that they're making out there, but it's been short, sharp attacks that have been collecting the points. We have FALs to talk about, FTS points as well. And that's really the name of the game, is collecting points. You can see I love Electric Spirit Company for many reasons, but one, their kit is extremely unique and easy to pick out. As you see, they're well represented up in this group, Nathan. So we are underway, 30 kilometers of racing for all of our fields here today. They've been selected into the championship rounds that we have here for the ZRL finals. And there you go. You mentioned Aonian. What a season they've had. That was one of their stars. Here's Ariel Verharn as well. But looks like picking up the points there is going to be Etienne, isn't it? I believe.
That was really close. I wonder who exactly was able to grab that one. And that's somebody I really want to talk about, because in the preseason, not the preseason, in the regular season, I had a little bit of a conversation actually with Electric Spirit Co. We were looking like, hey, you guys want to do some things with the broadcast? We'll do some features and stuff. And there was a little bit of a, hey, we need a restart. We need a refresh. We're going to try and find our footing a little bit here. And wow, their refresh when it comes to world championships, Etienne is a breakout phenom. That is for sure, because that name was not necessarily, one of those coming into the race that we necessarily looked at as one of the favorites. She ended up 4th place at world championships. And just a dominating performance. Absolutely awesome to see. And I think that has kind of given Electric Spirit Co. this little bit of a boost. Like, it was like they skyrocketed back onto the scene, and now they are definitely involved in these finals as well.
Yeah, I completely agree, Nathan. You felt like, I've never seen a team really redouble their effort more than what we saw from Aonian. And it speaks to how hard it is to sustain just the infrastructure around organizing a team. There's another team that deserves that credit, is Toyota Cryo here. This is Charlotte Kolkloff that we're looking at, but over the top is Etienne, proving herself to be always a rider to watch. Ariel Verharn just had a in real life podium this last weekend. She's firing on all cylinders right now, is the American Olympian out of Virginia, picking up top points over the line. But watch out for the counterattack from Etienne here.
Etienne now up and over the top. Nice little move by her. Amy Henderson on the wheel of Verhaaren. Going to cover that, though, as she comes over the top and makes sure that Etienne doesn't just get away. Electric Spirit Co. was there as well for 4th or 5th, it looks like, as was going to be Gilbert. It looks like Monty Keller for the cookies of Aonian with Vicky Whitelaw right on the wheel. The splits, they're already starting to happen, Dave.
Yeah, well, and it's a smaller peloton, and certainly we're looking now at Aonian all over the front of this race. So sometimes these attacks, Svartström is there as well, the Swedish Swifter represented up in this group. Big talent there as well. All of these names are extremely recognizable. I see the Irishman Patterson back there, but it looks like going to be countering out of this group now is going to be, is that Charlotte Kolcloff attacking? It's certainly an active cryo team today.
Super active. It looks like just maybe calming things at the front here just a moment. Make sure they're in a good spot. We did just see a rider disappear, actually. That would be horrible, actually. Is that going to be... Which name is that? Is that Amy Henderson for a moment there that just disappeared off the front? There are no invisibility power-ups, so I'm not sure what happened there. We'll see if perhaps we had a dropout there from a rider. Might suddenly see an Ionian rider off the back. But, Dave, as we look here, 5 seconds back is going to be this main group with Gilbert, Paul, and Ridney actually here. So this is the main group, and I think already, Dave, what are we down to? It looks like...
I mean, that's 20 13? Riders. In this front group here now, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because on the start list here, Monali Keller was listed. I'm still looking to see if she's out here today. Another impact racer, the Canadian Keller. But I don't, is she in this group? Because certainly she would be if she was out here racing. You can see the 2 different power-ups today. The helmet there for aero, the aerodynamic power-up. It looks like, though, going to be Vicky Whitelaw leading this one out for her teammate Verhaeren, and Verhaeren will clock another one. That time Whitelaw gets second, I believe, Nathan, or at least by eye. I would score it that way.
Correct. I think you're correct there. Aria Verhaeren coming through just in time. It looked like Whitelaw was going to maybe take it down, but it was just not quite enough meters there for her to hold on. The question to me, wow, Keller, that was probably a panic moment because I think you're right. I think it was Keller who disappeared. She probably had an internet dropout. And in those moments, essentially everyone around you disappears and you just have to go hard to just try and make sure that you stay in the pack, especially going into a sprint like that. Amazing to see that she was able to hold on.
Out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's a good saying for that, though, right? I mean, like, don't assume that they're easing up. Just keep pushing on. And if you're dangling off the front when you reappear, so be it. But I don't know of a more experienced rider or someone better equipped to deal with pressure, mom of 3, and another in real life athlete who's getting back out there and racing in Washington State, talking about Monali Keller. There. So, Nathan, taking a look now, obviously you can see 4 of the Electric Spirit riders. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I want to get this right for folks watching at home. Etienne, even though she's listed as Food Ray, is racing with Electric Spirit here.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yep. So I don't want people to be confused by that. So that is going to be Wahoo LeCoultre rider, Joe Patterson, surging off of the front. She's been quite active today, but that's it. They've lit the fuse, and here we go. Another Verhaeren show being led out by Vicky Whitelaw. Let's see if Whitelaw holds on, or is it going to be Etienne picking this one up? Sandrine Etienne is going to grab this one, Nathan, maybe?
Yep, just over the top there. She's got that final kick to the line. Good speed coming from her. Vicky Whitelaw, it looks like, for third. Keller and Verhaeren there. Ionian, they're racking up a lot of points, though, for those second, third, and fourth, and fifths. And I think, Dave, this is something that's been a part of the conversation a lot in these finals, is that it is such a team game. It really is. We've seen it over and over again so far. Linda, is that going to be Klein or is that Richardson with the roll-through? Insane roll-through here from Richardson with that drafting power up. Now, she doesn't actually want to find herself off the front, it looks like to me. She backs right on off as the moment that she does get a little bit of a gap. It was just a hold-on moment to make sure she does not get dropped. This is quickly splintering people off the back. You don't want to be found out of position.
Look at Ionian right there, Nathan. I mean, they are just blanketing this group. Such a talented team. That's the team of the reigning world champion. Although Los is not racing here today. Los Hadahis has been a great example of what that team can do. This is going to be the Irishwoman Patterson. A lot of spirit today from that Fighting Lion out of Ireland here. But it looks like Electric Spirit's going to cover that with Motas, Kolcloff right behind her. So this group, it really is an all-star field. Not just the best teams, but the riders are all very, very recognizable names. These are some of the biggest hitters that we've got in esports racing in this group. I mean, Nathan, when you look at the entire start list here, every one of these names rings true as an athlete that you're familiar with and has already made their mark in esports. I'll throw it back to you as we look at the peloton, calming down just a little bit. Noteworthy today, it's a 3-kilometer lap, 10 of them on this World Championship caliber course here in Scotland, in Glasgow, where we're racing today for 30K total. This is how things stand. It looks like you found after the first of 3 races that make up our ZRL Championship, the finals.
Exactly. This is where things stand as we come into this race. And that's what I was talking about with Electric Spirit Co. The jump that they've made here, Dave, as pretty amazing to see. But for Haran now, it looks like with Aeonian 1-2, it looks like with Whitelaw. Being Etienne continuing to rack up points. Monolith Keller coming through there. It looks like for maybe 4th, perhaps. We'll see how those points start stacking up here. But Electric Spirit Co. and Cryogen Stelvio, Dave, 1st and 2nd right now. Wahoo Lacole were the big hitters in the regular season. I think as some of their riders start to head outside, I have a feeling, we've seen Zoe Langham and others out at some team camps starting to do some in real life racing. And it looks like to me that Wahoo Lacole not having the firepower to be able to show up and defend for the finals. And so Electric Spirit Co. seeing a little bit of an opening here, perhaps, Dave, as they are currently leading in these finals right now. But Aeonian, they've showed up and hit out to try and punch back to defend.
You make a very good point, Nathan, and that's part of the fun of esports is it's seasonal, and you have some athletes that use esports as a way to stay motivated and fit and get ready and prepped for their outdoor season. It helps a ton, and some of our athletes, though, are the classics like the Kellers and the Verharens, Nathan, where these are moms. They're not able to go travel to Europe and race. Like Zoe Langham, it's really fun to follow these riders' journey. But in their case, they want to keep racing, and they get a chance to do it at an insanely high level out here as well. So it is. I love what Zwift is about. It makes life so much better for so many people, and these ladies love racing, and we are ready to get it on for another sprint. Patterson's been leading these out, but unfortunately for her, she gets a front row seat of this rocket ship. Verharen has launched. Nathan, this should collect 10 points. FTS, FALs. With a group like this, you never know when the FTS is going to happen. I mean, that might have been it right there from Ariel Verharen, American Olympian from the 2012 London Games.
Got such a kick lately, and as you said, Dave, we did see a solid win over the weekend from an in real life race as well. It's really interesting to see how she's able to take this current Zwift esports fitness and launch it off into a great spring start. I'm really interested to see how the rest of her season goes in real life for road racing, and if she's going to continue on with that, because it's been obviously extremely successful so far. And now she's launching herself into perhaps an Aeonian finals win as well. But we'll see, Dave. Toyota as well as Electric Spirit Co., they're here to stick around. And I think from what I'm seeing from Etienne, kind of leading things out for Electric Spirit Co., it's redoubled their efforts to challenge Aeonia, I think, in these finals.
If Sandrine Etienne, Nathan, was doing what she's doing now 6 months ago, I would have started talking about her being on the podium at the World Championship. She's that strong of a rider. So 100% agreeing with you there. I don't know today, though. I think Aeonian has got this depth and this morale that looks to me, because what you said about Wahoo Lacole, this is not Wahoo Lacole that we saw a month and a half ago. Aeonian might even be better than they were a month and a half ago. But it is a little bit, you have to gauge the quality of your wins against quality of competition. And right now, if you can beat Aeonian, you are absolutely crushing it. And the team that's got a shot would be the team in orange and white here, that being I'm just trying to see if this is another attack, but Chanticleer out here racing today is certainly more than holding their own, as are the ladies of Toyota Cryo. Everything back together here. And Nathan, this one's been active, and what's going on here? I guess she's just repositioning a little bit. Not good to see. At the very back of the group right now is the woman who's been one of the impact racers here today, Sandrine Etienne. But let's see now, as it looks like another sprint launching from the Aeonian ladies.
Verharen, it looks like again and again and again with the setup here, and a roll through from her teammate, not timed there correctly, though. It looked like Etienne is going to have to settle for second for Verharen. Keller with a solid speed, but the timing perhaps, and just the way that the setup there, just not quite what she was looking for, but some good times. Maybe Keller was going for FTS because that was going to be amazing FTS with the roll through speed perhaps. Did you see how much quicker she was coming on actually?
Yeah, right. And that's how you do it. That timing that perfectly. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. We're a third of the way into this race now, so they really just completing 3 of 10 laps at this point. And here's some points to look at. Great, fantastic. Ariel Verhaeren on top of the table here is in both situations. This has got to be one of the most points heavy races that we have with so many opportunities out here for FAL points. And Verhaeren has, I believe, Nathan, that's 2 firsts and 2 seconds to get to 38 there for her. That's very, very impressive.
Yeah, Verhaeren 79 points, 70 points. Vicky Whitelaw, Henderson there as well. So yes, the sandwich. It's a sandwich, Dave, right between Aeonian here. Klein, solid from her. The question is, I mean, with this great, amazing leadership here coming in from Etienne, the rest of the ladies here gonna, it looks like, be able to hold on to 19 points still solid there from Gilbert. We're looking at, I believe that's going to be Kent as well. So it looks like Electric Spirit Co. looking to defend. Will they be able to do so, though? As it looks to me, I think they are getting the better so far of Crouch and Stelvio, but I think it's going to be a walkaway race so far from what we've seen from Aeonian.
Aeonian, Nathan, already has close to 200 points if you combine their team, and no one else is even close to that now. And they're now starting to run away with it here. It's not over, but Electric Spirit Co. is going to have to start to really pour it on, or Toyota Cryo. And at this point now, they're just not giving an inch talking about Aeonian. So they're back at their best, no doubt about it. This is a performance from them where they don't look to be missing a step today. And I have a feeling there's more to come. Is a late race attack from someone like Monali Keller for the outright win. That's imaginable.
Yeah, and if we take a look here at the way things stand right now, Dave, we have a little bit of time for a moment to think about how things play out. If Aeonian do, it does look like so far from what we're seeing here, if Aeonian are able to walk away with this one, barring any kind of I mean, we could see a situation where Electric Spirit Co. set something up and try and create a breakaway situation. They don't even have to chase, but I'm not sure that they have the firepower to try and make that happen. If Etienne, though, does sit in a little bit and start challenging these FALs, and they start to send somebody off the front, causing chases, I mean, there are some tactics to be played here. So there's a lot of racing yet to go. We've got a little less than 20K. So, but thinking about the overall for the finals, 2019, 18, Aeonian need a big jump here, though, Dave. And Electric Spirit Co., they're going to most likely take second here. That only brings it within 1 point. It comes down to the TTT then. And the question is, does Aeonian have the firepower in the TTT up against Electric Spirit Co.? Cryogen are in there. Wahoo Lakov, they suddenly show up on the final. There's a lot that can still happen here in these in the ZRL finals to try and hold off Aeonian. Electric Spirit Co. have a solid chance to win this.
We could easily have a 3-rider tie or 3-team tie heading into the final race next week, the team time trial that you're speaking of, Nathan. And you can see that's where the straight ahead point structure that we have. Let's go back though and pick up Richardson here. She's going to make a run at collecting some points for Toyota Cryo.
She kind of just snuck off the front a little bit and then opened up a sprint from the front. And does she hold on? She did it. Did you see how she did that? That was so sneaky.
Well, that's how you got to zig when they zag out here. You know, with a team like Aeonian, do you want to throw down and go toe-to-toe with Ariel Verhaeren? I doubt it. So you need to pull a move like that. That's a great example of how you can use your head out here, not just your legs. Well done.
100%. That was awesome. Yeah. That was so great to see, actually, as they came around here. I'll see if I can show it. There she is, just kind of sneaking off the front a little bit.
Aeonian's been timing this a little differently,
and then opened it up, and she's got a gap. And this is a weird sprint, Dave. It's kind of interesting how it works. Because of this downhill nature, the rest of the pack can't really build up. It takes some time for them to build up speed to catch you. You kind of gain a whole lot as a solo rider once you get into that downhill 1%, and it's difficult to catch you if they didn't open up early.
That being said, Aeonian still extended their lead after that sprint. Even though they didn't take the top spot, it looked like they took second, third, and fifth to me, which would continue to move them away on the points table. So they're having a classic Aeonian ride today.
100%. And it's great to see, but they're really going to need it. Again, I can't stress enough. This is a little bit, as far as the race goes today, it's not a panic moment. It's definitely they're showing a dominating performance, but it is a little bit of like, whoa, okay, like things didn't go how we had planned last week. We've got to really show up this week and take things down where we shine, because they've obviously have the kicks on a race like this. But in that format last week with what I'm calling the points chaser, it didn't work out in their favor, and they're 2 points down. So this is a little bit of a, okay, let's redouble our efforts, and they're showing up to make it happen here. But again, they can really probably only get a 1 point spread. So interesting to see how this is going to play out, but it'll be good for them on the day to get this boost.
Yeah, the point structure doesn't favor a dominating performance in one day of racing because of the way it's only 1 point difference between first and second and third. So in all honesty, now this is just them doing what they do. Like when you have a police dog, you don't toggle it. It's either attacking or it's not attacking. And in this case, they're out here to collect points, and they're going to just do that throughout this race. But that being said, for them, they're in a tough spot, starting 2 points down. So it was a very unique race that we had last week, and that's been pushing the boundaries. It's been really fun with esports, and that was definitely a unique race. The timed 45 minutes where the racers stopped at that exact moment, and then we took their placing. So it had elements of straight up WTRL racing as well with FTS and FAL. So it was a unique day. Today we're back to square one with WTRL, ZRL type racing. And this is the wheelhouse for a team with these sprints and this team. Well, this is what Aeonian is all about.
Apologies on losing images for a moment there, but we're back, and now here we go. Etienne now calming things down right toward the front, 2.0 watts per kilogram. Heart rate starting to drop just a little bit as everybody looks to reset before this next sprint. Here's a little bit of a bump before they head into the champion sprint. It is an S turn, so it's a left hand into another left hand turn. So actually, what would we call that? What kind of I feel like there's like some sort of a
button hook.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, I like that. That one's not I don't actually have that term in my vocabulary. Button hook. I've heard it, but I'm familiar. I like that one.
Yeah, let's add that in.
Yeah. There we go. Now look. What? Can she do it again? Is she gonna pull it off again here?
Fool me once. Yeah, this is definitely that fool me once, fool me twice thing. Verhaeren now clearly is the rider who, again, she did it. Boy, she doesn't quite get there. I'm going to say Richardson does it again.
Wow.
This is fantastic. The Welsh rider is showing tons of heart.
I think she's kind of gotten down the timing. And this is a sprint that it's thrown riders for a loop. I mean, even I haven't ridden this course a whole ton. I've raced it a few times, ridden it a few times. I haven't had to sprint there a whole lot. And it's definitely a tricky one, and I've seen riders really struggling to figure it out because it's so different depending on when the pack goes and how the pack ramps up. There isn't a perfect timing, but it seems that she's figured out that if the pack is calm, that there is a moment on that sprint that you can really make the advantage and get away with it if you go at the right time. So nice on Richardson here, taking a couple of FALs and surprising everybody. Off the back a little bit here. It's a struggle moment here for Electric Spirit Co., Dave. And it looks like it is going to be Kent trying to get back on terms. It's a tough time to try and make this move.
It's like the cat stealing the fish from the butcher who realizes when every hour the butcher takes a cigarette break, and that's when the cat sneaks in. Same thing with Richardson. She realizes when they like to start their sprint, and she goes right when she knows that they're not quite doing it, and it's perfect out there. But again, Nathan, the thing is, sometimes quietly you have to remember what's the end game here, and it's your team collecting points. And that's certainly, even though we've seen these surprise winners at the sprints, Aeonian continues to be all over this group. They've had quite a few last few months, as we've talked about throughout this broadcast, through the middle part of this race. And here we go again. This time it looks like is it going to be Amy Henderson leading things out?
Neck and neck with it. Looks like Verhaeren and Etienne. It looks like Verhaeren with the feather power up is going to get the better of Etienne. There's going to be a little sit up as they cross the line. goes one, then the second, first of Verhaaren, second to Etienne, and then a couple of Aeonian riders right behind with Henderson as well as Whitelaw. Kolkloff was involved there as well. Klein, it looks like hanging on here. The Dutch woman there for fifth or sixth. Richardson is here looking to wait for the pounce, it looks like, as she's been able to do so for the last 2 laps. 13K to go. Got quite a few laps left to go here. We're 23 minutes into the racing. It's probably going to be about a 45 to 50-minute race for the ladies here. As toward the front, Svardstrom. Now, the Swedish riders, we haven't seen a whole lot from them, but she's still involved.
Yeah, and with this being a team sport, I don't know if she has enough teammates here to have an impact in our top 5 today, unfortunately. No one rider would be able to do it on her own. Svarstrom with 27 points, 8th in the total, but with no teammates above her, she's going to need a lot more help, is at this point now. Look at the runaway here. I mean, Verhaaren herself with 164 points. It's going to be Sandrine Etienne racing for Electric Spirit Co. with 128 sitting in second, but then effectively 95 and 92 for Henderson and Whitelaw. You can see how this is really turning into a runaway out here.
Now, tough here. Now, the current finals leaders is Electric Spirit Co. But looking at this with Klein and Richardson as well as Kolkloff, they're sitting currently in that 7th, 6th, and 10th place. It makes things a little bit rough here depending on how far down the points go there.
Well, the thing is here, Nathan, is it looks incredibly good for Electric Spirit Co. with 128 for Etienne, right? So if you add up every other rider for Toyota Cryo, you're looking at 93 plus 23. So 116 points there for their top 3. Doesn't even get you to Sandrine Etienne. So
I think Henderson
tough.
Finally did it there. Sorry, I'm just sorry, just with that sprint there, Dave. I think Henderson just barely nipped Richardson at the line there. But
the real story now, though, is going to be, does Aeonian get help here? So if you go back and look at how they scored on week 1, this is the not that one. There you go. So right now, the problem for Aeonian is that if Electric Spirit Company gets second, they're going to be leading heading into the final week because they'll only make up 1 point, talking from Aeonian's perspective on Electric Spirit Co. if they get second, talking about Electric Spirit Company there. So really, the Aeonian Aces are hoping that Toyota Cryo can beat Electric Spirit Company today. It makes their chances a lot better.
You know, Dave, it's interesting. The way those sprints are working out, they might be thinking that.
Well, I'm
not taking anything away from Richardson.
Cryo.
I'm not taking anything away from Richardson, but what if they're thinking we need Toyota Cryo to take second? What if they're like, look, we have solidified ourselves here. Let's, do you see what I'm saying, Dave? Do you see what I'm saying there? To make sure, like, man, wow, this is... Talk about
absolutely. So they benefit greatly by having Toyota Cryo beat Electric Spirit Company. This is sort of the problem with the point structure here. Is there's not much wiggle room, is there? Right? You can't get too creative when you're talking about 1 point differences here because it's very likely then. So even if Aeonian comes in 1 point behind Electric Spirit Company, which is, I think, the most likely scenario heading into the final team time trial, if they went 1-2 again, they would be tied on points then at the end of the season. So the count back is probably who had the better team time trial, is my guess. I'm not sure.
That's a good question. We'll see how that plays out at the end in the rules as we'll take another deep dive with a microscope to those.
There's a really good chance that happens, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're right, Dave. There's a huge chance that happens. I have a feeling we're going to end up in a situation where it comes right down to the team time trial and who wins. next week rather than things being settled, which makes this women's group really exciting, actually, to how this is going to play out. We got 10K to go on the day-to-day today, though. There is some riders that are being lapped, just as a heads up to everybody. Those are lapped riders that are coming into view that were ahead there. They will rejoin, though, and are able to rejoin the peloton here if they would like. And it looks like a few of them will from SZ. Maybe able to grab some FTS if they have a really good kick to the line. As Electric Spirit Co. do have 2 in the lead group at this point. Aeonian sitting in with 4. It looks like Toyota Cryo DT, they're going to be racking up a whole lot of points today, though, as they have 3 still represented. 1 right off the back here as well with Klein. Could have 4.
This is where I hate to, this would be what you'd call negative racing. But if you're Aeonian, you sit back, I think, and allow Toyota Cryo to take as many points as you can. You don't beat them in sprints now.
It's a tough spot. It is. I mean,
right.
And you know, that's a no holds barred, cutthroat type. I mean, but that's racing, right, Dave? I mean, if it's a competition,
it's like tanking. Absolutely, it's like tanking games at the end of an NBA season to get a better draft pick. It's not fun or sexy to watch, but I guess effectively, I don't even know that they want to race like that. But because I mean, but here you go. For them, effectively chasing this back doesn't help their case, if that makes sense.
100%.
They would be,
and I mean, ZRL helmets. If one of
it looks like that's what they're doing.
If a couple of people on this team don't have a ZRL helmet, if they don't have that in game, they've never won the championship in ZRL. You got to remember, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity within Zwift Racing League. I mean, they don't just give those away. Those are hard earned in this A category prizes.
At this level, absolutely. And boy, you would hate to lose this on a tie break, right? I mean, that's a really tough way to lose a championship finals. So right now, actually, Nathan, I think that's what they were doing on that last sprint. Is that they're trying to tilt the scale. It's like the butcher. I keep using the butcher analogy, but putting his thumb on the scale, right? They want to weight this to the advantage of Toyota Cryo right now.
Yeah, 100% here. And it's interesting to watch it play out, but they are still scoring just enough, it looks like, to still stay involved at this top level. We can get a good idea of where things stand here on the points as they are updating. Great to see. A little bit of the work that was done for us in the background. Thanks a lot to Martin for putting things together for us in the middle of a whole lot going on. As it is a very, very busy day.
Updates again there. So really, look at that 140 for the Sandrine Etienne racing for Electric Spirit Co. That's the orange and white team. So 140, and then she doesn't have a teammate joining her inside of the top 10. Now you can see there 58 plus 52 is 110. So 144 points right there for Kolkloff. Excuse me, for Toyota Cryo. So that's better than Etienne's 140. It's going to come down to what happens with really, in all honesty, the fourth rider on Toyota Cryo.
Yeah,
if the fourth rider, where the points are there. So it shows you how it's not just the top 10, it's 10 through 20 that are really going to be deciding that second place team on the day. And again, I know this gets to be complicated, but if Toyota Cryo is that team, that then has us, I believe, moving into a 3-way tie, points-wise.
Here's the thing, and that'll be really interesting next week because then it just comes down to who's got the best time trial on the week. That's going to be a lot of fun if it does come down to that. We are seeing Richardson now back to the front again, as she has been doing this little bit of a sneak away. Now, Etienne is holding her own. It's really great to see at 140 points there, able to keep Electric Spirit Co. in the conversation because outside of that top 10, there are some Electric Spirit Co. riders that are at 11th or 12th or 13th, and their points will still matter to match up against because Etienne is essentially holding down Klein, Richardson, and Kolkloff almost at a tie between her and those 3 riders. So what's below the top 10 here does really come into play for who gets that second place today.
Absolutely. That's where it will be decided. No question.
A little bit
Is
of
there
a
any way
roll
we could
through.
look at that?
Good question. We'll see if I can find it. We'll see if I can get some. We'll see. That is a great
Not to
question.
pull the curtain back, but if those points are available, it would be fascinating. That's for sure. I mean, it goes to show you though that that's what this league was always about, not just one star rider. And in this case, for Toyota Cryo, their fourth rider here on the points table is going to either put them into a position to still win the finals or be more likely fighting for a spot on the podium here. Back to the action now. Richardson's been tremendous. She's more than carried her weight out here today as she looks to pick up another FAL top points.
Ooh, good
It's
on
going to be Gilbert
Etienne.
this time.
Etienne, though. Etienne across the line. She grabs a big FTF. That's important here. That is a massive kick here because Richardson's been grabbing these points. And Etienne, I said, enough is enough. It looked like I need to really do what I can for the team, but it's risky, Dave, as they head into two to go, though.
Yeah, and if her teammate was getting up there inside the top five, that's a big difference maker there for them. They've only got two riders scoring in this group. Toyota Cryo has, see, now remembering that the Swedish jersey looks familiar from this perspective, Toyota Cryo is two riders in this group as well, aren't they? So at this point now, that's the real fight going on between Toyota Cryo and the two riders in orange and white of Electric Spirit Co.
Lots of tactics playing out here with 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go as we head into the Clyde kicker for the penultimate time. It is going to be Etienne at the front. It looks like, actually, no, her teammate, Matas at the front as she takes a pull. They are going to find a lapped rider coming from Electric Spirit Co., coming out of Italy. As she's going to jump on and maybe be able to grab a little of FTS, but if she's rested up enough, that could be a question. But I have a feeling not going to be happening as the pace has been absolutely frenetic forward those sprints. But now we do see 3 Creamsicle Electric Spirit Co's in here because there is a lapped rider jumping in.
I have to think that with FTS, yes, lapped riders can still pick up an FTS, but I would think for FAL points, they would only be riders on the lead lap.
100%. Yep, 100%.
Right. So that rider then doesn't affect the points either way, to tell you the truth, at this point. Aeonian now, I think, says enough is enough, and they're just going to go for it here. I think they just have to let the chips fall where they may. They can't quite Machiavellian this thing that much and will Cryo into that win, Nathan. At this point now, you got to let the racers race.
I'd have to agree with that. You don't really want to mess around too much at this point.
It's too much. It's too much messing with the product, right? You know what I mean? Like you just can't. You can't quite do what I was talking about.
And you can't necessarily trust that it's going to work out the way that you thought it would. And the truth is if they dominate, they just steal points at the front anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Those teams are racing each other either way. Is another perspective to look at it from too. So I'm countering myself, right? But at the end of the day, the Electric Spirit ladies and the Toyota Cryo ladies are fighting full on. But I guess the problem maybe for if you're Aeonian, it would come down to you don't want to chase back you don't want to chase back Toyota Cryo for Electric Spirit Company. Then you would be working against your own purposes. But that's, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the strongest ladies are going to be in the right positions out here.
With the way that Aeonian were just playing that, I wonder if they're going to try and send somebody for a late attack, perhaps.
I think it's Keller.
There was a little bit of a wiggle room to work with. We saw 2 seconds for a moment there. So, I mean, with those 2 seconds, there's something to work with. And we could see a move from Keller or Whitelaw, actually, into this last lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it is gilding the lily at that point for Aeonian, as their sword is very sharp at this point, and they've done extensive damage out here today. They've made their point, that's for sure, with some great racing. That's going to be Monolith Keller, the Canadian flag there. We'll see what they've got in plan, but this is absolutely what Richardson has been all about, the Welsh woman here on Toyota Cryo. That's her signature move, Nathan.
She went super early this time. She will not be caught this time. No way. This is way too much of a gap on this downhill here at this point. And what kind of speed are they going to have? Is she going to sit up after the sprint? It's going to be a big question. Amy Henderson trying to come on through Etienne might be able to take this one down. Verhaeren, no, Etienne is going to make it happen here. They will catch Richardson very quickly here. Will there be a counterattack over the top? Is that going to be Svartstrom? Is he going to continue on? I do not think so. She's going to sit up at 1.1 watts per kilogram. 1 lap to go, 1 to go. We're on the final lap here in the Women's European Cup with Aonian versus Team Swedish Zwifters, Wahoo Lacole, Electric Spirit Co., and Toyota Cryo RDT, Dave. And it's all up for grabs between Electric Spirit Co. and Toyota RDT. It's going to be Aonian that have really solidified the win out here today. Now it's just all about pride to the line.
Yeah, absolutely, Nathan. The points are huge at the finish, but I think this just turns into a straight up bike race, to tell you the truth, from here on in. As there's something about that element I've always joked about: when the horse can smell the barn, everything changes. Well, that point has arrived now. And there's going to be the racers element of they just want to win a bike race out here today. It's a very select group that we're running to the line now. And here we go, inside of 2K to the finish, as we take a look at all of the danger women in this group. Certainly Ariel Verhaeren with what she's doing, fresh off a top 10 ride at the World Championships, Nathan. Verhaaren's going to be tough to beat out of this group.
She is. If it comes down to the line for a sprint, I think Verhaeren versus Etienne may be the favorites, but there has been some jumps to get away, as well as some timings perhaps that some of these riders could play up against the massive power of those two out here today. Will we see a counter over the top of the Clyde kicker as well from some of the other riders? Because we have seen some gaps immediately following this kick, but it is a little more patience from the riders coming into this final one. But here goes Verhaeren, 11 watts per kilogram, looking for those final points over the kicker.
Patience is the perfect word, although that ship sailed. As here we go. This is not only for this one, the penultimate point opportunity, but this is, I have a feeling, going to be all in. Look at this, like the Italians in breaking away. It's the top 4 spots going to Aonian. So now do they push through? Does that launch this next final move? Vicky Whitelaw seems to think so. Now getting herself up into the mix is going to be Charlotte. Charlotte Kolcloff there is the rider in white and blue, tucking in with what looks like that they're starting the team time trial for next week right now. Is Aonian. There you go. Counterattack coming out of that group. It's on like Donkey Kong from here on in, Nathan.
Yeah, it looks like Kolcloff making her way to the front immediately. No, excuse me, it's Richardson. Richardson makes her way
This
to the
is
front.
good for Electric Spirit Co.
Yeah, and she's setting up pretty well here to the front with Matas. Now Verhaeren covers it pretty quickly here. Is she going to go over the top? Vicky Whitelaw pushing a solid 5 watts per kilogram. Things are starting to really ramp up a little bit here. It's not a big pack, so not a lot of firepower to chase things down. Everyone's going to be covering and killing until that elastic snaps. Patterson to the front now. It's going to be WLC now taking over. That would be huge for a solo rider out here today to be able to make that happen alone. 4 watts per kilogram at the front, but I think it's going to be shut down by the roll-through speed in just a moment.
Well, she's the one rider that isn't dangerous to the others. It really, now you take a look at it, it's 2-on-2 as they square up now. Toyota Cryo, the team in white and blue, obviously Anna Svartström, the Swedish rider in this group as well, but it's going to be the 2 orange and white jerseys. And I tell you what, Nathan, if one of those teams can put 2 riders in the top 4, that might be just the ticket to put themselves in a much better position heading into our finals. This is it right here, right now. The ZRL finals are into the last major part of the second race. It's grand finale time here, Nathan, as Patterson looks like she lights the fuse. Coming over the top is Motas. She's been phenomenal out here today. So Motas now is our leader, and this will be full gas as it looks like it's going to be the woman of the day, Ariel Verhaeren, absolutely opening up the throttle. It's full gas in Scotland.
Verhaeren perfectly timing, jumps on Motas's wheel, gets the lead out essentially from Electric Spirit Co. Holds on to the line. Motas, just nipped it looked like by Vicky Whitelaw. And massive points.
For Electric Spirit Co., that might have been it, actually. That was huge for them as they definitely get the better of that sprint. All the points are being tabulated.
Dave. Yeah, actually... Good call there that they were able to grab a whole lot of points, it looked like, in that final pull-through. Motas goes really early. And, Dave, this might have been everything that they needed with her holding on. Verhaeren comes over the top, Aonian with the outright win, but Motas holds on maybe for third place. Where was Etienne, though? At the end, she placed well
Up
at the
there.
finals here.
She was fourth or fifth, I believe. She's just behind Whitelaw. But
Oh, you're
yeah,
right.
well,
You're
there you
right.
go. And so that actually really has me thinking Electric Spirit Company with the fantastic finale did enough. Again, that's a thumbnail sketch. We would have to go to the data, but I think that that finale really speaks to a great ride from them to take second on the day, I think. But obviously, you can go to WTRL.racing to find out exactly what's happened with all of our racers, the thousands and thousands of folks that race with us here. For this group, they're down to one to go. Next week, the 21st of March, will be the team time trial that wraps up this tremendous season. The 3-race ZRL finals now moving into the third.
So we do have some preliminary results here, everybody. But here's the thing: there's still riders out on course. There are still riders out on course, still finishing up their race, and so there are still some finish line points up for grabs.
Which really makes these not preliminary, to tell you the truth. If you don't have all of the points, you can't really do anything with it.
Yeah. So it's tough. It's tough here as it stands right now. Aeonian, but there's still Aeonian with the win on the day. Electric Spirit Co. holding on, but there's still some Cryogen and some Electric Spirit Co's out there. So we're gonna have to wait and see. We're gonna leave that for the end of the race for it to finish up for people to go and check out over at WTRL.racing. We don't want to give anybody any kind of false hopes or dash anybody's hopes up front here right now. But we'll let the dust settle because this was a very hard course. A lot of riders still need to finish.
And what we do know is Aeonian won the day. That's 100%. For sure. The question becomes second and third, and we'll leave that for later. So thanks for joining us, though. We really appreciate it, and we'll definitely be able to, again, send you to WTRL.racing if you're curious later. But for right now, congratulations to Aeonian, as they certainly keep themselves in the mix to be our ZRL Finals champions. Team time trial, right? Next week?
Team time trial next week. It's probably all going to come down to that for who the winners are going to be. It's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure, because these teams are neck and neck for this. Now, on the Americas later tonight, we'll be covering the Americas Women's Cup. So don't, well, you can go and take a break for a little bit while everybody, but we will be back in just a few hours for that. That is scheduled on our YouTube right now. So go ahead and set your reminders, and we'll see you for America's Women's Cup in just a few hours with 2024 versus Riot versus Optimum, etc. They're all out here. ATP, OTR. It's going to be a lot of fun to cover for some more Glasgow Crit Course for myself and Dave Towle. We'll see you in just a few hours. And as always, ride on.